When stores run out, do your cans keep you calm or make you move? And in a blackout, will your 15 picks feed you quietly or expose you loudly? You're thinking canned food is safe. And I'm saying safe isn't the label. Safe is the behavior it creates. You tell yourself it's just food, but your street hears they're fine. But here's the twist. The wrong cans don't fail on day one. They fail on day two, when they turn into smell, thirst, trash, and trips. Within an hour, someone notices light and movement. By nightfall, they remember the fine house. By day two, they start doing quiet math. You're thinking 15 cans can't be that deep. And I'm telling you, 15 cans can either buy silence or force you into public. In a minute, I'll give you the 15 picks. But first, the system that makes those picks invisible. Timeline shifts, pattern repeats. You're thinking it's just a grocery problem. And I'm saying, no, shortages are pressure tests. Hour one is signals. You flip a switch and your window answers for you. Your neighbor's eyes say, who's fine, before their mouth does. Day one is friction. Your partner asks, are we cooking or are we staying quiet? Your sink asks, with what water? Your phone buzzes at 14% and your brain says, charge everything. But here's the twist. Friction is what makes people loud. Loud turns into trips. Trips turn into patterns. And patterns turn into attention. Day two is attention. You hear it in normal words. You guys okay? Need anything? We're all just checking in. And you can feel the counting behind the kindness. Day three is pressure. Favors, fairness, community solutions, and the moral trap. Say yes, and you become the supply room. Say no, and you become the story. You're thinking, just list the best cans. And I'm saying, a list without a protocol is a giveaway. Say it with me. You don't stock food, you stock quiet control. Because the best can isn't the tastiest. It's the can that keeps you inside. And that's what we're doing next. 6 capabilities that make 15 picks stay invisible. You tell yourself it's just a light. Your window tells them, we're fine in here. You're thinking, I'll make it quick. Just the kitchen, just 2 minutes. And then you notice you're the only bright box on the block. Your partner whispers, turn it off. We don't need the whole room. You say, relax, it's nothing. But your street doesn't hear nothing. They see stability. But here's the twist. Nobody knocks tonight. By morning, the story starts anyway. Within an hour, a text pops up. Got candles? You're thinking, that's normal. And then the second text, you guys okay over there? By nightfall, someone has already labeled you. That unit has it together. And has it together is just a polite way of saying, has resources. By day 2, it turns official. A building note reads, we're checking who needs help. And you hear the subtext. Who has power and who doesn't? An opportunist doesn't ask you anything. They just watch the timing. Light on, light off. Same window, same pattern. So you run light discipline, like a protocol. Task light only. Low, pointed down. Curtains early. No silhouettes. No hallway glow. No TV flicker parade that says, we're comfortable. You're not hiding. You're controlling what people can measure. And if light is the first signal, what happens when you start charging? You're thinking, we'll run normal, and normal is loud. Charging, cooking, opening the fridge, on repeat. You tell yourself, it's fine, we're just topping up. Your partner says, charge everything now, just in case. Your kid asks, can I watch one show? And suddenly your battery isn't power, it's permission. But here's the twist. The loud house doesn't get robbed. The loud house gets measured. You say, I'll top everything up. Phone, power bank, flashlight. And then you look down and see it. Your phone hits 12%. Not because the blackout is long, because you spent power proving you had power. Rule of 3, information, safety. Everything else waits. Within an hour, your neighbor pings you. Hey, can I charge my phone for a minute? You're thinking it's just a favor. But favors become patterns. By nightfall, the group chat tries to turn you into a schedule. Let's share generator time. Just an hour each. And the moment you say yes, you become the charging station. By day 2, the opportunist doesn't ask. They just notice your window glow, your extension cord habits, your quiet confidence. By day 3, battery burn turns into a cliff, right when everyone else adapts, right when the street gets quieter and attention gets sharper. So you set one line in your house. Batteries are for information and safety, not comfort. Not cooking, not proving anything, You run charging windows, same times, short bursts, no improvising, no just this once, and you say it out loud. If it's not safety or info, it waits. And here's the trap. Your food choices change your water behavior. People don't notice food first. They notice water runs. They notice who's carrying jugs and who isn't. You're thinking, it's just 2 salty meals. Then your partner snaps, why are we all so thirsty? Your kid says, my mouth feels weird. And you hear yourself ask, why are we edgy? Because thirst isn't a feeling. Thirst is a movement order. But here's the twist. Hunger makes you stay home. Thirst makes you leave. You tell yourself, quick run, no big deal. And that's how patterns start. Within an hour, you're checking bottles like a countdown. By nightfall, you're rationing without saying the word. By day 2, someone notices you're doing hallway trips. And day 2 is when the building starts talking. A neighbor says, we're out, do you have any? You're thinking, if I say yes, I lose water. If I say no, I become the cold one. And there's the dilemma. And while you're deciding, somebody else is watching. Not angry, not loud, just counting. The notice reads, distribution point open, bring containers. And the moment you show up with jugs, you're not a person anymore. You're a story in a line. Public lines create public stories. And public stories create attention. So you lock this in. Cans are a water decision. Every salty can changes your next 24 hours. You tell yourself, balance it now or pay for it later. You stage low salt options next to the salty ones. So you're not forced into whatever's left. And you separate drinking water from reserves. One small kitchen bottle for daily use. So you're not dipping into the main stash. So your household doesn't broadcast urgency. You're thinking, it's just water. And I'm saying, water is the thing that makes you visible. Okay, now the real skill. Pantry logic, functions, not cravings. You're thinking, a pantry is storage. And I'm saying, no. A pantry is a system. A system that lets you eat without noise, without waste, without attention. Here's the pattern interrupt. Most people don't run out of food. They run out of clean decisions. You open a cabinet and say, we have food. Then you stare at it longer. And you realize you don't have meals. You have bites. Your partner asks, so what's dinner? You say, tuna. Then you hear yourself add, and beans? And suddenly it's 3 cans open, half-eaten, 2 bowls, 1 sink. And now you've created the thing you were trying to avoid. Trash, smell, dishes, movement. But here's the twist. Random stock turns into open 3 cans, eat half, trash the rest. And trash becomes your broadcast. A neighbor jokes, what are you eating over there? You laugh like it's nothing. An opportunist doesn't joke. They think, meat can mean value. And the group message pops up. Community meal night. Bring something. And now your pantry isn't feeding you. It's negotiating you. So you run pantry logic like a protocol. 5 buckets, 15 picks, protein anchors, chicken, tuna, sardines, salmon, corned beef, meal bases, beans, chickpeas. One bad case isn't waste. It's a schedule collapse. You tell yourself, we'll replace it later. Later becomes day 2. And day 2 is when everyone else is doing math. Within an hour, you're checking dates and dents. By nightfall, you're separating good from maybe. By day 2, you're making a list. By day 3, you're carrying bags again. And that's the loud part. Because a few ruined cans don't just reduce calories. They force trips. They create extra trash. They create stress. And stress creates mistakes. Your partner says, so we have less than we thought. You say, it's fine. You're not fine. Now you're in the store. And a neighbor sees you and asks, why are you suddenly shopping? You smile and say, just grabbing a few things. And someone else thinks like they're restocking. And then the sign appears. Limits are back. And you realize the timing is the punishment. So you build zones. Not because it's fancy, because zones prevent forced behavior. Reserve stays cool, dark, inside. Not garage, not attic, not by a heater. Reserve is protected because reserve is runway. Active is kitchen reach. The cans you actually rotate. The ones you can explain as normal. And decoy is the front shelf. Boring, explainable, visible. The shelf you wouldn't panic if someone saw. Most people stock food like a pile. You stock it like a system because the system keeps you quiet. And now we hit the final shortage. Privacy, because people measure comfort. The fastest way to lose supplies is to let other people measure your comfort. You hear? We're checking on everyone. You guys okay? And you freeze because you're holding a can like evidence. You're thinking, just say yes. And your brain whispers back, yes is a number. You smile and say, yeah, we're fine. Then you hear how it sounds. Fine means stable. Stable means stocked. Stocked means shareable. But here's the twist. Even kind people repeat details. They're fine becomes they have food, and that becomes they should help. A neighbor asks softly, what are you guys eating? Not angry, curious, counting. An opportunist doesn't ask anything. They listen for one sentence. We're good. We have plenty. We're stocked. And the system shows up wearing a friendly mask. A building message says, community check-in. A group chat says, let's do a shared meal night. And suddenly you're not managing hunger. You're managing social gravity. And here's your dilemma. If you give freely, you become a resource. If you refuse loudly, you become a story. So you don't argue. You don't brag. You don't explain. You practice lines. We're tight too. Simple meals. We're on a schedule. Nothing extra. Schedule is the cleanest cover because it sounds normal. And you control the receipts. Packaging goes dark. Trash gets sealed. Rotations stay quiet. Say it with me. You don't stock food, you stock quiet control. Privacy is the last supply, and it runs out fast. All right, now we stop thinking in cans and start thinking in control. You're going to run 3 audits, like a checklist you can speak out loud. First, a visibility audit. You ask, what can they learn from my lights, my trash, my trips, and my talk? And you answer honestly. My window is a report. My hallway bag is a receipt. My little comments are inventory. Second, a friction audit. You ask, what forces me into public behavior, water, charging, cooking, waste? You're thinking, it's fine, I'll improvise. And I'm saying improvising is how you get seen. Most people miss this. Friction is what drags you outside. Third, a runway audit. You ask, how many quiet days do I have, before I'm forced out? And you don't count food. You count silence. You count, how long can we operate without showing it? Now you build the onion, decoy layer. Boring, explainable, visible. Yeah, just basic stuff. Same as everyone. Active layer. Low light meals. Low mess routine. Daily control. 1 bowl. 1 bag. Same schedule. Reserve layer. Protected temp zone. Rotated. Untouched unless triggers hit. We don't dip into reserve emotionally. We dip in when the timeline says so. And here's when you escalate. Trigger 1. The app shows out of stock plus limits. You shift to active. Trigger 2. Blackout with no restoration window, you tighten the schedule. Trigger 3. Neighbor attention rises, you tighten OPSEC and lean on decoy. Because you don't stock food, you stock quiet control. Don't spend resources to prove you have resources. Discipline beats guilt. And you're not responsible for the whole street. If you want, subscribe. And I'll post the 1-page 15 cans plus quiet protocol checklist. Because the goal isn't more stuff, it's more control with less visibility.